Hello. I think we're live now. Hi everyone. Okay, so welcome to the live stream. We will get started really soon. Hey, Damien, how are you? Okay, so today, excuse me. So today I'm going to do a quick, not so quick, a demo on how to paint winter landscape in watercolors. And I'll try to simplify it and make it really easy to follow, and I hope that it will help those who wanted to try and paint some winter landscape. Okay, so before we jump to the painting, I think I would like to just briefly talk about some important first thing that I want to talk about are the important elements in a winter landscape. And I have actually collected a lot of photo reference that you can find in the Pinterest board. It's pinned in the comment, so you can take a look at that. So I think one of the most important elements in any landscapes is actually trees. And in particular, in this case, that would be the winter tree. Winter tree. So what's so special about winter trees? There are basically two types. I think one you usually see is like these, like they don't have much leaves at all, it's just branches, and we'll have to learn how to paint that in a lot of the winter landscape. And then the other type is of course, the evergreen tree. Those like Christmas tree, like this type of trees, or these type of trees. So I think it's mainly these two types of trees that you can combine to form a winter landscape. And of course, in the winter landscapes, what is important, another important element is snow, which is usually the main character of the landscape. And although the snow is like, it's supposed to be white, but it's usually never, I mean, we usually would leave it white, so the whiteness of the paper would be the snow. So we usually don't really paint the snow, but we are painting the shadows of the snow. Also, because it's white, right? So it's actually reflects a lot of the lights from its surroundings. Usually, it depends on the sky. So, for example, in this painting, it's like a sunset sky. Then you also have some of those sunset colors on the road. Similar in this one, which happens quite often. So if you look at the reference in the Pinterest board, right, you can also see that. Maybe I should show that on screen as well. Hold on. So this is the Pinterest board that I have put together all these photos, and you can see, like, for example, in this photo, the both the sky and the snow kind of look pinkish or a little bit purple pink. And like this one here, the snow, you can see the color of the sky, the lights. So it's like actually it looks, it should look kind of yellow and orange instead of that pink on screen, but you get the idea. Similar in that one, the white color of the snow can reflect the lights of the sky. So it's basically, it's like painting reflections when you're painting snow. Also similar in that one, you see the pinkish color on the snow and the purplish, the cool blue color, probably from the sky. So I'll show you how we paint the snow as well. Major point is to leave it white. Use the color of the paper. And another way is like it will reflect the lights from surrounding. So like the sky, and depends on the time of the day, I guess. And another important point when painting snow is we are actually painting the shadow. For mixing the snow color, my favorite mix is using cobalt blue, plus permanent rose. There could be many different ways to mix it. Basically, it will be usually is a blue purple tone, so it's a cool color. You can try and find out what combinations of the colors that you like, and depending on the picture that you are gonna paint, you might want to make some adjustment accordingly. But yeah, these are some important points when painting snow. And another, let me take a look. Another elements, I think that one is more optional, is a house. So for example, in this case, there's a house here. The house will usually add like a focal point that helps you to form the composition and also to drive the interest to the painting. So it's also, I have collected quite a lot of photo reference with the house in there, like this one that I was painting from, and also there are a few others like that one and that one. So they are like the main focal point of the painting. There are others. There are others that has a larger like proportion that focus on the house. But today I think we will mainly focus on the overall landscape. And okay, so one last element is all these other details, small details. These would be like the branches or glasses in the foreground. Put this up a little bit. And also, if you are drawing the house, sometimes you could add those wire poles with the line, so that will help to improve the composition of the painting as well. So these are some small details, like these foreground grasses in the foreground. Wire poles or fences. So if you combine these, you will be able to like compose a simple winter landscapes based on these elements. And another thing that I wanted to talk about before we get started to demonstrate all these points is about the basic principles when painting landscapes, is that you have to think in terms of background, foreground, midground, and foreground. Let me try to draw it here. If you guys have any questions when I'm, you feel free to just let me know in chat. So you can basically see the landscapes as in different planes, like the background, the midground, and foreground. What I mean is, like, usually the background will be the sky, like the background sky here, and those distant trees in the background. So those would be like, you would paint this background mainly using the wet into wet technique. So they are like the colors will be fused together, and it gives the illusion of that they are kind of like far away. And then your main subjects, like for example the houses or some trees, the larger one would be usually in the midground, and usually those would be the main focal point of where you would like to work more on. So you might want to paint more details in this layer. You can see them as different layer. And then the foreground would be like the details that drive the whole composition into the like drive the eyes into the painting. So if you think in this way, it actually helps you when you are painting. Like these will be more detail in the midground, and then which means that you will spend most of the time working on here. And then for the foreground, maybe it's just some small details. So yep, I hope you are able to keep this in mind, and I think that will help when we are, when you are painting a landscape. I can't really see the chat here, and I am not sure if everything is going well. Is everything going well here? So we just go through all the elements. I think that are important in painting a winter landscape. And now let's get on to the demo. Let me get the watercolor paper. So I think I can move this down. I guess we will try this one first, which would be really the easiest, I think, in terms of the composition and also the techniques that we could use. So this one is based on which reference? It's actually based on this reference. It looks I don't know why the screen color looks so different, but actually the sky is not that pink. It's actually kind of orange. This is a more accurate color. You can check out that reference on the Pinterest, but just give you a reference and give you an idea. So like if you look at this reference, right, I should put sorry, I should put it that way. Okay, let's draw oops. Where is it? Here. Let's draw a frame around first. And I will put the like the ground line around 1/3 of the page, so this will represent this line, and then I'll just roughly draw like how the mountains, I think it's a mountain, are going. I won't be drawing the mountain at the back because I just want to paint that in. I just want to paint that one in using the wets into wets technique, and then that's the simple composition. Oh, hello, Mary. Welcome, welcome. Alright, now we can get started. Sorry, let me just readjust the camera, move it slightly taller so you can see part of my paint palette here. Okay. Like I said earlier, right, the background we will be painting using a wets into wets technique. So what I would do first is use some clean water to paint the background first. And then starting from the lightest color, I'm gonna start with the yellow. Just drop in the yellow color. I'm adding in some pink color. This is actually kind of like a pinkish sky. Finally, I will use this horizon blue for the sky. And just let them mix on their own. That would be the background sky color. Hello, Latte Americano. Welcome. We are doing a demo on how to paint a winter landscape. And we just started the first demo because I was spending the past 15 or 20 minutes trying to explain some theories. You can watch it back later if you like. Now I want to paint in this distant mountain. So what color should we use? We'll use some cobalt blue and mix that with the pink color. Maybe a bit too pink. Okay, a bit more blue maybe. Let me give it a try. I think it's a bit I'm adding a little bit water to it. Be a bit more blue. Color mixing is like a trial and error. So the background is still wet, but not very wet, so it's not like spreading like crazy. And that's how you can paint in the distant mountain. Winter landscape can be tricky because of the bright cool snow, but it's also why it's fun to paint, right? And it's actually easier than you thought. Okay, now I am going to, so these are this, so again this is the reference, right? You see all these white snow color, they actually look a bit cool. They are not like white they are more like a cool blue color to me. So I'm actually going to just paint them with a really light blue color. I'll just pull them. And that would be the first wash. So now I will need to paint in this foliage, like this mass of trees, and I will need to mix a color that is dark enough, and when the paper is like dry up a little bit, we can put that in. So I'm mixing some indigo, maybe a bit of this Indian red, a bit green to it. Okay, so I'll just give it a try and see how it's working. I think it's okay. Like it's not really, it's not very wet really. So I'm just like dabbing in. Here the reference would like you can refer to the reference, but then it doesn't, I mean you doesn't need to follow it exactly. I'm mixing a bit more red into this mix because I wanna try and paint the tree in front. Could be using the side of the brush to create this effect. because I'm using a rough watercolor paper, so when I'm using the side of the brush and just like lightly brush over it, I'm able to get some of these white area left unpainted, and I think that would look quite nice as some sort of evergreen tree. Actually, this is kind of dried up already. I just wanna wet it slightly along these line so that I can drop in some foliage. Also the front here. A bit more red color. Ah, thank you. Yeah, that's because I have wet it slightly, a little bit. So if the paper is wet, like when you dab the color in, it will spread out on its own. And it is a really nice effect to have. I just want to soften this up a little bit. I'm reworking at the background because I want to like the ground part to be slightly darker compared to the top part of the tree, so I'm dapping some colors back in. Yeah. Oops. Is this in focus? Okay, so another element that I mentioned earlier is the like some of the foreground grasses or branches, right? And you can use a regular brush. This is actually a lettering brush, but you could use a regular brush, or you could use a really small brush to try to paint those. I think the regular brush is really good at painting branches, and when you're using it, try to hold it a little bit like higher up so that you can and move really fast, like just shoot, and then you can get those sharp and thin moving lines for the grasses and branches. Just a little bit. And there you go. Our first winter landscape. Isn't it easy? Basically, it's a background sky, and then the midground tree, and some foreground foliage. What I can do here is to add a little bit more shadow to the snow. So I'm using this mix here on my palette. Make this and then dilute it down. I think that looks a bit better. It looks quite different from that one. I was just practicing this one earlier, but it's based on the same reference. In this one, I end up like drawing a lot more foliage, but the composition is really both are based on this reference here. Isn't it easy to do? Now we can let's do one with houses. So let's go on and do this one. And let's start with a pencil sketch. You like the moodiness in the first one? Yeah. This one is more bright, and like this one has a more mellow, muted color palette. So, I mean, every time you paint a watercolor, it will end up different. It's really hard to replicate exactly, especially when you are using the wet into wet technique. Sometimes you just have to improvise. Oh, so here you can see these are the distance mountain that I was supposed to paint, but they end up being too light. And here you could see that more clearly, right? So yeah, you just have to improvise sometimes. Now let's try to paint this one together. Again, a really simple composition. I think these winter landscapes are really good exercise, especially in practicing wet into wet technique. You can practice both wet into wet technique and the dry brush, the brush work. So a very good way to practice. Again, I'm dividing it into 3 parts, and I would like do the ground line like this. So it looks more interesting. One rule of the composition is don't just put everything in the middle, right? So if you put the ground line in the middle, it will look just too boring. You either move it up or move it down. And also the subject never put it in the center as well. You just have to put it like slightly off center. So this is a good location. And for painting houses in snow, right, one thing to remember is you have to leave the roof white to show that it's covered in snow. So that's important. And then there's another part of the house here, a little bit window. So just a simple drawing of the house and a rough like position of a big tree over that side and some branches here, and again that side. Okay, so just a very simple composition to guess, and then you can get started. Starting from the sky again, wetting it. Oops, it's I'm using the water that I cleaned the brush. That's why it's kind of blue, but it's okay. The sky is blue anyway. So just use a clear water. Avoid the house, and you can paint everything else. It's actually a sunset scene. As you can see, like there's a bright orange color at the back and some really dramatic colors in the sky as well. So we'll try to paint that. I will start with the orange and the lightest yellow first. So, and then put in some orange. And just let them mix here. Now I'm going to paint the sky. using the horizon. I usually like to use cobalt blue for my sky. Maybe I'll mix a bit cobalt blue to it. The paper dries up so fast. So from top, just let it like dropping in. And I'm painting the clouds now. We actually did a live demo on how to paint clouds. For those who are interested, you can check that out. But I'm just going to like mainly paint in the shadows of the clouds. So just a bit yellow color on the lighter part and mixing this blue into a purple. I'll drop that in. Oop, that looks a bit too dark. A bit more red color. So you just keep mixing and see if the color is right. But I think the paper might be a bit too wet. Just you see. Okay, just drop this in. A little bit over that side. I'm gonna paint the distant tree as well. I'll drop in some colors over that side. Oops. Also painting around the house. There are like bushes around the house, so that I just drop in the color. This side as well. Maybe use a smaller brush. Even for the background tree, you could still vary the colors. Like some would be more green, some would be more red. So for the dark color, it's not just all black. It also has a different color tendency that would make the painting look more interesting. Okay. Okay, so that would be the like first wash for the background, and we have to actually wait for this to dry up a little bit before we can paint in the details of the branches. Now let's just work on the shadow part of the tree. I mean the house. So this side of the house is brown in color. And that part of the house as well. Also this little window. Okay, let me see. It's still not completely dried. So I guess we will work on the foreground first. And the foreground is basically just some lines to show the perspective, and also you could paint in the textures of the snow. So let's mix this color first, again from cobalt blue and the rose, permanent rose. It will be more blue on near the horizon, and then it become more pink. So that's the plan. And again, I'm going to wet this part first. Just brush it through with clean water. And dropping in the colors to see how that looks. It's looking good. I think this is a nice color that we have just mixed. It really has this snow color. And now I'm using the tip of the brush. I want to just drag it over. It's like the road to the house. It's okay to have like color spreading out, because it's just the first layer. I am going to just use a bit more pink. So it like again, the background, midground, and the foreground concept, right? The foreground doesn't really need that much of the thing. It just needs to drive the eyes into the painting, and I think I can start to work on the trees in the midground, because we have a huge tree on that side that I wanted to paint. So again, mixing a darker shade, and just start to paint in the shape of the tree on that side. Like paint along the branches. It will cover part of the tree, the house, because it's supposed to be in front. So that could be another one here, and maybe a little bit darker at some of the branches over that side. Also, just enhance this shadow a bit more, because this is the house and the trees surrounding it is the focal point, so we should spend a bit more time working out the details here. There's a window here. I'm taking out this regular brush again because I want to draw in some branches. It will need some practice with this regular brush. Sometimes I find it kind of hard to control as well. So there are some trees that has a lot of leaves, the evergreen tree, but there are also trees with only like bare branches left. I should have another one over here. It's actually harder to use this on a small piece. If it's a larger piece, use the whole like arm. You move the whole arm, and then you could get some nice thin lines. It's really hard to control this and to get some thin line. Okay, I think I want to just indicate that the side also has some branches. The palette itself, yeah, I rarely clean my palettes because you can always get the most beautiful gray color or muted color from them. So here I wanted to again use the side of the brush just to touch on this a little bit. And also over here. A small detail, some small detail of the house. Could draw out the wood texture of this house. So that's like 80% done already, and what we could do is to work on the foreground a little bit more. So what I am going to do is, like, for this line, you don't have to draw everything so clear. Just show that indication. Show the direction, and this will help to drive all your eyes into this interest focal point. Also, gonna add some dots. These are like the grass, random grass. Maybe a bit of grasses here. Just put in where you think fits, but the whole purpose is to help with the composition, so make sure you didn't put in too much. Just a bit. You see the color looks a bit faint like after it dries, so I'm just adding in a little bit more color. And I guess we are done. Yeah, mini grass poking out saying hello. They were not completely covered by snow. As you can see in the reference as well, right? There are some grass, and you see that it's not like so straight. You have some curve in these lines that will help to show the terrain. So this is the reference and our attempt to paint this one. And this is my first attempt. I put in a lot more lines in that one, and I think I like this one more, like the contrast and with the sky. But this one is quite nice too. Again, you can never repeat the same painting. You could just paint something similar. I think one major point when painting snow is really the lights that reflect from the snow. So from this reference photos that I collect, right, you can see this one would be nice to paint as well because of the sky and the reflection, and similar like this one. This would be fun to paint, and also the shadow of the bushes and the trees on the snow. That would be something fun to paint. But we choose two relatively easy one to paint, so we have paint that one, and also another really easy one, this one. So you can give it a try and see. You can try other reference from here as well. So this is what I practiced earlier, just to make sure that I can paint it. I also paint one with the house in focus, and then the evergreen tree at the back. So you are painting it in the same way basically. after you finalize the composition, and then you can decide which part is the background, and then which part is the focal point, and then which part is some of the small details that you could add in to make the painting look more interesting. Just these 3 points to keep in mind. This is another one that I have painted recently. Also painting the background first. I leave the tree trunk white, and I paint these two last because I wanted to, like these are the main focus, and then I paint the background using wet into wet technique. You can see this also mixed from cobalt blue and permanent rose. Is my favorite mix for painting snow, so you could give that a try too. You like this one on the side. Yeah, that's another practice. So there are 2 ways to paint the trees, right? One is with the regular brush. Maybe I could do just a quick demo of how you could paint a winter tree like this. Because we don't really have a chance to do that in the small painting. First, I paint the tree shape, the overall shape, with this mix of cobalt blue and cobalt blue and basically a really light purple color. So I'm painting out the tree, something like this. I'll leave some whites in between because these are the snow, and then we will have to use the negative painting technique for that one. So I'm mixing a darker green color. This is indigo and what is this? This brownish red color, Indian red. I love to mix these two because they could come up with a really dark color, but also has a color tendency in the darkness. So you see, I'm dropping this in part of this snow, a part of this tree that I just paint, and I'm painting like the underneath part, the shadow part of the tree. Again, you don't have to paint everything in. You just have a concept of how the tree looks like the shape. And then just these part are the part that shows up that are not covered by snow. Now, for the background, we'll have to paint it using the negative painting technique. So let me just wet it, and using cobalt blue, I'll just drop in the cobalt blue color. Right. Okay, so here we can just draw out how the front part of the tree, I mean the top part of the snow would look like. So just paint that in. Paint that around the tree. That would make you a really simple Christmas card as well. Maybe put a star or a ribbon up here, and then you get the tree. And okay, so for the lower part here, right, we can paint in the snow as well. So a bit more red, so it looks more purple. You can decide how the snow look like, and then dilute it out with some water. You could also add in some like little grasses here. After, if you think like the color is too light, you can just add in another layer. Right, so you get a few layers there, but it's really simple to do. It's darker at the ground, and then okay, so just there we go. A really simple winter tree that you could try out. Yeah, because snow is white, so we are not really painting snow. We are always painting around it. We're painting its shadow. We are painting the lights that it reflects. So if you just keep that in mind, I'm sure you will be able to paint the snow winter landscape. And check that Pinterest board out, and you can try out this reference. I think you could do a good job just using the principle that we talk about today. And I think that's it for today's live stream, live demo. Do you guys have any questions for me? Or do you guys have any comments? Oh, I can show you guys more complete work, but using the same principle. I painted that one in last year 2020. But it's again the same technique here. Basically work on the sky. You can see these granulation color because I was using cobalt blue and violet color. Both has granulation effect, so it gives a really interesting sky texture. And then I just drop in all the distant tree colors. It's not completely black because this is a larger piece. Then you can, use more colors, and you will be able to see it in the picture. So I actually have some green and some yellow and some brown all mixed in. And this white part, I scratch it out when the paper is about to dry, so you could try that effect out. It wasn't too successful because it's kind of not a very easy technique to master, and you might have to give it a try. Like, when is the best time to scrap? If you scrap too early, you will end up having those really dark lines instead of a clean white line. But yeah, it's fun to try out. And I also use a bit of a negative painting technique over here to paint out some of the tree trunk. So painting the house, the farmhouse, in a similar way. Basically, just paint in the shadow and leaving all these snow white. So just a little bit of the fences, the foreground glasses, and you're done. Right? That's another one. This one is more like a sketchy feel, but also painting in a similar way. Like, all these snow colors are a mix of cobalt blue and permanent rose. So after doing the background and leaving the house white, like the rooftop white, and then I start working in all the shadows, and then it will slowly pop out. And one last one, this is a painting of a winter scene in Japan. You can see these, again, the background done in a wet manner for the distant tree. For the foreground tree, these two types of trees, then I spend more time painting in the shadows, so like leaving these snow on top white, but just paint in the shadow part. Similar in for this tree, but I spent quite a long time working out all these branches because it is like part of the main focus of this painting, so that's why I spend a little bit more time working these out. And then for the foreground tree, you just use a big brush to like kind of paint out the shadow of the tree, and it will also show like the ground, and you are done. I hope you enjoyed today's live stream. If there's a topic that you would like me to show or to do that in a live demo, feel free to drop that in the comment. And if you like this video, please remember to click the like, comment, share it with your friends so that more people can come and watch. What else should I say? Well, thank you everyone for joining. Hope to see you guys again sometime. I will be streaming on Twitch coming Sunday. So for Twitch streams, it's usually a lot more relaxed, and I will just be painting or drawing for a few hours. So if you want, you can come and hang out and just chat together. Yeah, maybe we could do another winter theme demo. I have some of those winter birds and berries photo reference in that Pinterest board. So maybe we can do one about painting birds or berries. Let me know what you guys prefer. Okay, so thank you very much. That will end our live stream here. If you want to support me, you can go check out my other social medias, watch my YouTube streams. You can also support me on Ko-fi. Okay, so have a good night, everyone. See you guys soon. How do I end this? Here. Okay, bye bye.